Hey guys, and welcome back to Regretsit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland and Eastern Europe. The UK so fresh, looking like wealth, so we had to impose economic sanctions upon ourselves. So gully, because we're so funny. I'm from the UK and we've got no money. And in Brexit England, carers can't go to work. They're phoning up sick and explaining we can't afford to go to work. We can't afford the fuel for our cars, for our motorbike. Can't afford the fuel. Right? But the problem is, these people, a lot of these people, right, they're not being paid in between jobs. Right? So, it might be 15 minutes to get to the next job. It might be 45 minutes to get to the next job, but they're not being paid for that time. They're just being paid once they get to the person's house, right? Because they've all got these specialized systems, yeah. So that the companies can tell exactly when they get to their house because they've got these mobiles, and I think most of them have got like a mobile. They've got like a mobile at each house, right? Because my mum has a carer coming like once a day. They go to the house, right? And they've left a mobile in the house, right? So as soon as they turn that mobile on, I think it just tells them straight, yeah, you can start paying me from now, right? But we've been treating these people like shit for years, right? And nobody has given a fuck about it. Right, but we've got to remember, yeah, that all the unions in this country, yeah, have been smashed to pieces. Apart from the people like the RMT and ASLEF, right? But most of the unions and they've been smashed to pieces, yeah, on the say so and the behest, right, of the British people. The English people, because it's mainly them, right? The English people have imposed this shit upon themselves, just like they imposed economic sanctions upon themselves, right? But they imposed upon themselves. You know what? We don't like unions, right? And when you turn your back on things like unions, right? Next thing you know, right, you've got carers, right, who put in who are putting in long day shifts, right? But there's a lot of a lot of the parts of those days they're not being paid for. They're not being paid in between jobs, right? And now with the fuel cost where they are, right? So inflation is going off a cliff, right? And now they're expecting the carers to still be able to drive around and do the job what they was doing before, right? Where they was already losing money, most of them. Right, every carer, right, will probably be on their universal credit or whatever it is. Every carer is going to be on that, right, because there's no way they can make up enough money. Right, there's just no way they can, because right, they're not being paid. They don't get paid for a straight 8 hours. Right, there's too much periods where they're not working. But they might be on a bus or in their car driving to the next job. Right, but they're not being paid for that, right? So now, right, they're phoning up and they're saying, something, yeah, we can't afford to go to work. We can't afford to do it. While you've got Boris Johnson, right, £1,000 a roll wallpaper, right, and still complaining, right, that he's not making enough money, even though, right, right, that motherfucker and the rest, right, of those Tory politicians, right, have stolen billions of pounds from this country. And if you think, right, that those guys, right, have not got millions of that pounds of that money coming back to them, you must be you're crazy. Because I'm telling you, right, we're from the street, right? We're street people, so we understand how shit works, right? Right, that you know what? Someone has to get a little tickle over there, right? Someone has to get a little drink over there. Okay, that's how shit works. You don't start giving people contracts of £100 million or 50 or 60 million pounds, right? Without a bulk of that money coming back to you. Right? Who's going to do that? Who's going to say, what? Don't worry about it. You know what? I'm giving you this contract, right? That's going to make you into a multi-millionaire overnight. Right? And I'm just happy, right, with my 89 grand or whatever the hell it is. I'm happy with that. Seriously? Yeah, but this is how stupid these people really believe that the people of this country are. And when you are voting in a stupid racist way, right, they will always be able to manipulate you, right? And while they, right, are telling you, look over there at those black people trying to pull that statue down, pull down your motherfucking history. Look at them pulling down your history, talking about you in such a derogatory way, and filling their pockets while you're looking over there. Right, they're filling their pockets, right, for generations and generations of their next family, right. And then and when you look over and say, "What are you up to?" You say, "Oh look, there's some people in a dinghy, right? You should go and see what they're doing. What are they up to? What are those people up to over there in the dinghy?" And you go over there, right. This time they're starting on the diamonds. They're taking the diamonds out of the motherfucking vault, right? Because you're over there looking at fucking dinghies. Right, you go back and say, hold on a minute, you're just coming out of the vault. Yeah, but you know what, yeah? We was just making up plans to send black and brown people to Rwanda. Really? Oh, yeah, I think we should go for that. Yeah, I didn't see you coming out of the vault. I didn't see you coming out of there at all. Didn't see you. Black and brown people to Rwanda. Yeah, go on then. Go on then, we'll be down with that then. Let's forget everything else. That's why they're living in fucking castles and fucking palaces, right? And big fuck off real estate, right? The biggest real estate, right, that you can fucking dream of, right? And you, right, are living in a fucking shoebox. Me too. Sorry, we are living in fucking shoeboxes. Right? While these people, right, are lining their pockets, right, and they're making you fight against me. I ain't got nothing for you. Who do you think I got for you? I ain't got nothing for you. Yeah, right? You people need to really seriously look somewhere else. You need to look at them, at what the fuck they're doing, right? Rather than thinking about fucking dinghies, right? Or statues. Right? That's what you need to seriously be doing. Because look where we are, right? Carers, right, are phoning in sick because they can't afford to fuel their cars. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. Well, actually, I wanted to do stories over Donald Trump. It seems that Donald Trump has been accused of causing an insurrection, organising an insurrection to take over the USA government. Right? And if it was me who was making those claims, Donald Trump would have been in an orange suit while I was making those claims on the 7th of January. Right? It wouldn't have taken me this long to make those claims because we all saw exactly what happened. Right? But it's very strange, right? Because in these Western countries, right, we see all the time. We see corrupt African leaders or Asian leaders, or even some Eastern European corrupt leaders end up in places like The Hague, right? And or we see them put on trial and thrown into prison, right? How much South African presidents, right, have ended up in prison, right? And, presidents from other countries, or prime ministers has ended up in prison, right, because of what they've done. Because you know what? The country says to them, you, right, are not above the law. The only person who's above the law, right, in this country is the Queen. And that's actually true. The Queen's above the law, right? She can't be charged with a criminal offence, right? So she could kill your ass, right, and then just be like, well, you should have moved out of the way of the bullet. I say, but she run me through with a knife. I say, well, you should have moved out of the way of the sword. It was a knife. It was up close and personal. Well, you should have moved out of the way of the knife then. The Queen can do that shit, right? But she's the only person. No one, right, is above the law, right, in any country, right? And so much countries have proved that, and that's why I don't understand how Donald Trump wasn't locked up, right, from the 7th of January. In fact, on the 6th of January, they said, "Go and get his ass." I said, "Go and get him. Done." Right, we'll clear everything up. We'll put him right in the prison cells with right the people that he sent to do the insurrection. Right, the people who Donald Trump most hates. If you think Donald Trump actually likes his supporters, yeah, Donald Trump completely hates his supporters, right? Because they're all flipping idiots and hillbilly fools. Right? So Donald Trump doesn't want. Donald Trump never wants to hang out with them, right? If any of those people could afford to stay in Donald Trump's hotels or even go to his golf course. Right. He doesn't even have a day where he says, you know what, I'm going to open my golf course up to all of my, just for my supporters for the day, right? And we're going to do it for free for a week. No? Right, you want to go there, yeah, you pay the £10,000 a year or whatever it is, right, to join the club. Right? Yeah. So, so now, right, it looks like, right, the Democrats are really going for this shit now, and Republicans as well, because it was Dick Cheney's daughter that I always forget her name, Dick Cheney's daughter, right? But it was her that that was reading out a lot of, because a lot of this is I think it's live on the TV over there. I haven't watched any of it, but so because to me it was going, there's going to be only a few exciting parts, but. Right, it seemed like it's things like moving in the right direction. But as I said, if he was in right what we always called third world countries, right, his ass would have been locked up. But these politicians, right, because I heard an American politician saying, we don't want to be seen to be people who go after our opponents, right, to lock them up, because that's like third world. And I thought, well. Causing an insurrection is third world also, right? And by them not taking real action, right, it leaves them open to this happening again by even by Trump again. That's what it leaves it open to, right? Trump should never, Trump shouldn't be going around the country now, right? Holding rallies. They should never allow him to do that, right? Him and all his supporters, right? His two sons and his daughter. They should all of them, right? Should be in orange jumpsuits, and they should have been in there. They should have been in orange jumpsuits from since last year, right? Along with so much of the rest of Trump's the politicians that was around him. And there has been an attempt on Judge Kavanaugh's life. Remember him, Brett Kavanaugh, right? The one who Donald Trump appointed, right? And already right, that he was probably completely the wrong person to put on the Supreme Court. But anyway, there has been an attempt on his life, and the Republicans are hitting the roof. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats for the attempt on Judge Kavanaugh's life, and they're saying it's all because of the Democrats, because the Democrats have been, there's been a lot of people, going outside the houses of the judges, right, to protest, right. And the Republicans say, I don't know, but I don't know. We don't know whether all these people are Democrats, because the abortion laws, right, hits everyone apart from if you're some crazy right wing fool, right? But the abortion laws, so we're saying so we can quite easily say, right, that people who are moderate white, right, we can say that those people, right, may well, right, look at things to say, well, perhaps we should give women the choice, right? Not like the crazy right wing who like to have guns, right, so they could murder as many people as they can, but they still like to tell you they respect the sanctity of the unborn child. But the 19 children who got murdered, right, can't get the attention, right, that you're giving to this attempt on Judge Kavanaugh's life. And when I say attempt on Judge Kavanaugh's life, what actually happened was, because Judge Kavanaugh, he's got security, so they've got I think US Marshals or something like that looking after them, right? So now the guy, right, has been observed by 2 US Marshals getting out of a cab. And now you need to remember, right, he has come to kidnap and murder Judge Kavanaugh. So the first part of this that should prick your ears up is he got out of a cab. Right? And then he went off for about half an hour. Must have been skulking around in like the trees and behind walls and hidden down behind some dustbins and that shit. You know what I mean? As if he was doing some sort of like covert moves, right? At which point, right, he then reappeared, right, after phoning the police, right, to tell them, right, that he thinks he's come down there to, this is what he said, I think I've come down there, right, to kidnap and murder Judge Kavanaugh. So obviously the police took it very serious and he was arrested. And they in fairness to him, he did have a Glock, a big knife, right, a screwdriver, a club, a crowbar, and some other things. I think he might have had gas or pepper spray as well. Right? He might as well just thrown in a bazooka in there as well with him. Right? And I don't know why he wasn't carrying an AR-15. Right? But so now, I don't know. Right? Now I don't know. Right, because I'm not the person to ask. I'm not with security services, so I'm not the person to ask. But I don't know whether or not you can class that, right, as an attempt on somebody's life. I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? I would say that I'll probably need to take this one under advisement, right, to know whether or not that was a threat on somebody's life. But the Republicans have certainly, they've certainly, they've got their teeth into this, and they're like, well, we're not letting this shit go, right? Because you know what, this is all the Democrats' fault, and they're going around like telling people to go to like the houses of the judges, right, and protest outside, and it's disgusting, right? And one of them said, we're gonna bring the whirlwind. So, right, okay, well, that's I'm sure. All of that is fair enough. And talks between India, right, and Britain, right, over a trade deal. It broke down well over a year ago, right, because the the British were saying, well, this is what we need. We want to sell you, we want to sell you scotch, we want to sell you, whiskey, probably cheese, cheddar, right, and maybe Brankston pickles. Right, because if you're thinking about Rolls Royce, right, I'm quite sure it's an Indian company owns that shit anyway, right? So I think it's the Indians that own Rolls Royce. I'm not sure. I think it is right now. I know it's not here anyway, right? But yeah, so that's what Britain was saying to the Indians. I mean, this is what we need you to do, right? So we need a trade deal, and we need it as quick as that, fast. And the Indians is like, well, that we need like we need to have some say so in this as well. So if we can start with freedom of movement, and the British was like, oh no. And he was like, well, okay, then you know what we're gonna do? We'll see you later, and walks out the door. The Indians was like, I don't think so. Right, this shit is played right how we want it played, right? And if you don't play it how we want it played, right, then we're giving you no trade deal, right? You're not going to deal with this 1.3 billion people. I think that's what it is, isn't it? Right? I think so. Right? You're not going to deal with this, okay? You can forget that, right? Go back to the UK, right? And deal with the EU. You've got what 500. You've got like, what 500 million people there. Double in India though, right? So the Indians just walked away, right? And you notice right how nothing was really said about the whole shit. No one really said anything about it. No, you know what I mean? But it was bad. It seemed like it was bad news all round. There's over 10,000 buildings in this country that still do not meet fire regulations after Grenfell Tower. Right? And it just goes to show you how much they really do care about the poor and the working classes in this country. Because Grenfell happened for a reason. Because those people who was living in Grenfell Tower, so much of them was doing blogs and all that and saying how dangerous this actual building was, and the government was just like, we can't really hear that, you know. We can't really hear what you've got to say about any of that, you know. So that's the reason why. So we've still got over 10,000 buildings in this country do not meet fire regulations, right? And you know, in those buildings right now, right, those people, all of those people, right, are having to pay massive extra costs because you know most of them need like a lot of them need like fire marshals to stand up in the buildings all night. Someone to be in the building for 24 hours a day, right? That's awake all the time, right? So that person can go around and you know if anything breaks out, that person can go around and, you know, and warn everybody to get the fuck out of the building. Right. So a lot of these people, the buildings they're living in, right now, they're not worth a penny. They're not worth nothing at all. They're not, you know, they're worth nothing. They're all worthless, right? A lot of people who are living in flats that have got like this cladding around them, they're still like going through the living nightmare, right? Even though, right, it's been government after government that have allowed these, like, you know, these companies that have put these claddings on these buildings, you know, and they've allowed them to do it and just get away with it because you know they were so slack with the regulations, right? We don't even know how much they've changed the regulations, whether or not, right, we could have another Grenfell Tower. But at the moment, because so much of these buildings are still so dangerous, we can have another Grenfell Tower anytime. Anytime that shit could happen because they've never cared about the working class, you know. So this is where we are. Boris Johnson's plans to allow people to buy their council homes has started to unravel, and people are saying he hasn't even thought this through. And you know, he sent out Michael Gove yesterday, and Michael Gove is one of the most meticulous politicians out there, right? And Boris Johnson, right, sent Michael Gove out, right, without briefing Michael Gove at all, because Michael Gove, he just made a complete fool of himself on the TV yesterday, right, over these plans, right? But you know, remember, right, when Thatcher done this back in the day, right, you know, it was another ploy to make, you know, that kept people carry on voting for the Tories, right? Because, you know, they sold the houses but they never replaced them. And Thatcher insisted that the money that the council got for the houses, yeah, they wasn't allowed to build new houses with that money. Right, so you know the only way see this type of thing. Yeah, the only way this type of thing can work, right, is if the government themselves, right, build the houses, right, and then sell the houses to the people, right. But right, make sure, right, there's in clauses in there that you're not allowed to sell the house for 25 years. Right, you know, and you know, and they could put clauses in there so if you rent it out, right, you can only rent it out for the appropriate amount that the council would rent it out for. Right, so you know, there's loads of things they can do and put in there, but you know, they don't understand. These guys, they don't understand. You know, they're like the DUP. They don't understand how politics works. I mean, that's why this country is in so much trouble because you know you've got someone there who doesn't understand how politics works, right? But you know these are very simple ideas, right? And if you're going to do it, right, you don't start, right, you know, getting rid of all of the the council stock or the stock for the housing associations they've got. You don't start doing that. Right, you know, you build if you're going to do it, you build new and then sell people those, right? Because then you can completely control the price. You can control how long that person has to live in that house, right? And if they do rent it out, you can control how much they can charge to rent it out, right? So you know it's it can work, but it hasn't been thought through. You know, I haven't thought about it much, but you know it's very simple. If you think about it for a few minutes, you can start coming up with start coming up with really good solutions to the idea that he's got. But right, you know, it's just another red meat to the fools, right? In the same way, right, that this country is to burn £4 billion worth of PPE. That's misbought PPE. PPE that was no good. PPE, right, that people have bought, right, and they went and bought completely the wrong thing. Now, this country has to burn £4 billion worth of PPE. Someone needs to take every piece of it and stuff it down each and every one of those Tory MPs until they can't breathe, till they choke the goddamn life out of them. Right? How the fuck, right, are we in a situation where we need to burn £4 billion worth of PPE and no one in this country is saying, what the fuck? What the hell, man? What the fuck has gone on here? How the fuck is it, right, that we have to burn £4 billion worth of PPE, right? What, how, right? Because you know what it's like. If you buy the wrong thing, if you buy something and it turns out to be something is wrong, right, then you can send it back. I mean, remember the last time when you ordered those fancy boxer shorts, but they sent you a pair of ladies' pink knickers. What did you do with them? Okay, you wore them. That's a bad example. They sent you the wrong size shoes. And what did you do? You said, I didn't even order shoes. I ordered fucking trainers. So you sent them back. You get the panties, but you sent them back. Right? Someone sent you the wrong fucking PPE. Say, well, sorry, but this PPE is all wrong. Right? Can you give me back my £58 million, please? And take your PPE back. I'm going to put it back on the aeroplane and send it back to your ass. Right? Give back my money. But no. We got to burn the shit. That's what we got to do. We got to burn that shit. Russia has sentenced 2 British citizens to death for fighting against them in the Mariupol or the Donbass region. But they've sentenced the 2 of them to death. Right? And pencil neck thin Lizzie Trust, right, has said, how dare they? This is against the Geneva Convention. This is against all the European conventions, even though, right, we want to walk away from those people. Still, it's against everything that we live for. And how dare the Russians even think, right, about putting 2 of our soldiers and a Moroccan guy, I think a Moroccan guy, right, 2 of them been sentenced to death. I said, well, hold on a minute. Wasn't it pencil neck thin Lizzie Trust that said, like, I think that if any British people want to go out to the Ukraine to help, right, I wouldn't stop them. So someone needed to point out to Liz Truss at that point, right? You do know that that's illegal, right? You are the Foreign Secretary, so you should realise that what you've just told people that they can do is illegal. You're not allowed to leave this country to go and fight for a foreign army.